Sometimes, feelings start to grow when we least expect it. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of Melissa, a young girl who gradually discovers what it means to like someone special. Let's follow how a simple act of getting to know each other at school turns into something more. Get ready for a story full of emotion, friendship, and discoveries about love. Melissa was a 16-year-old girl who had just started her English classes at a new school. She was nervous at first, but soon realized the class was friendly. On the first day, she met Pedro, a classmate who seemed very smart and friendly. Pedro always smiled and helped other students when they had trouble with the subject. Melissa felt that Pedro was different. He was thoughtful, polite, and always knew what to say to make people feel comfortable. During classes, she began to notice how helpful and dedicated he was. Soon, she began to feel curious about him. "Who is this boy?" she thought. "Why is he so kind to everyone?" They didn't talk much at first, only exchanged a few quick words about the English exercises or the teacher. But Melissa couldn't deny she felt a slight thrill whenever Pedro came near. He had something that caught her attention, and she wanted to know more about him. As the days went by, Melissa found herself looking at Pedro more and more. He always seemed so focused in class, but at the same time, he had a relaxed way that made her smile. She began to notice small things about him, how he tilted his head when he was thinking, how he laughed at his friends' jokes, and how he always offered help to those who needed it. One day, during break, Melissa was sitting alone in the yard, reading a book. Pedro walked by and noticed the title. "I've read that book. It's one of my favorites," he said with a smile. Melissa was surprised. "Really?" "I'm really enjoying it so far," she replied, trying not to seem nervous. This small interaction made Melissa even more interested. She realized she wanted to find more reasons to talk to Pedro, to learn more about his likes and opinions. "I need to find a way to get closer," Melissa thought. She started planning ways to start conversations with him, maybe about the books he liked or the English homework. Meanwhile, Melissa also felt butterflies in her stomach whenever Pedro was around. She didn't know if he felt the same, but she was determined to find out. She knew that, for this, she would need to be brave and take the initiative. The following week, Melissa saw a perfect opportunity. The English teacher announced a new group project and allowed the students to choose their own partners. Melissa knew this was her chance. She needed to act quickly before Pedro chose someone else. With a bit of courage, she approached him right after class. "Hi Pedro," she said, trying to sound casual. "Do you already have a partner for the English project?" Pedro smiled. "Not yet, I was thinking about who to invite." "And you?" Melissa felt her heart beat faster. "Well, I don't have a partner yet either. Maybe we could work together?" She tried to keep her voice steady, despite her nerves. Pedro thought for a moment and then smiled. "Sure, why not? I think it would be fun." Melissa tried not to show her excitement. "Great! We can start tomorrow after class?" Perfect, Pedro replied. I'm looking forward to it. As she walked away, Melissa felt a wave of happiness. Now, she would have the chance to spend more time with Pedro and maybe get to know him better. Who knows where this could lead, she thought, feeling optimistic about what was to come. The next day, Melissa and Pedro met in the school library to start the project. Melissa was a little nervous but also excited. It was the first time they would really spend time together outside of class. They chose a quiet corner of the library and started discussing the project's topic. Pedro had great ideas, and Melissa was impressed with how creative and smart he was. She liked how he spoke enthusiastically about what he wanted to do. They soon got into a good rhythm, dividing tasks and sharing their ideas. While they worked, the conversation began to flow more naturally. Pedro asked Melissa about her hobbies, and she talked about how she liked drawing and painting. Pedro seemed genuinely interested. Wow, that's cool. I'd love to see your drawings someday, he said. Melissa smiled, feeling more comfortable. Sure, maybe someday I'll show you. Time passed quickly, and soon the library was about to close. That was a good start, Pedro said as they packed up their materials. I think we make a good team. Melissa agreed, happy to have taken this first step. Yes, I think so too. Shall we continue tomorrow? Definitely, Pedro replied. See you tomorrow then. As she left the library, Melissa couldn't help but smile. She felt that this was just the beginning of something special. Over the next few days, Melissa and Pedro continued working together on the project. Every day, they spent more time together, and Melissa felt she was getting closer to him. They laughed, made jokes, and talked about many things beyond the project. Melissa loved discovering more about Pedro's interests, and he seemed to enjoy learning more about her too. One afternoon, after a study session, Pedro suggested they get some ice cream. I think we deserve a break after all this work, he said with a smile. Melissa agreed, and they went to an ice cream shop near the school. While they were having ice cream, the conversation got more personal. Pedro talked about his family, his plans for the future, and how he wanted to travel the world one day. Melissa talked about her dreams of becoming an artist and how she wanted to display her paintings in a gallery. I think that's amazing, Pedro said. You have a lot of talent, Melissa. You should believe in yourself more. Those words made Melissa's heart beat faster. She felt that Pedro saw her in a special way, different from others. She wanted to share her feelings, but she was still nervous. Thank you, Pedro, she said shyly. You're very kind. Pedro looked at her for a moment and then said, Melissa, I like you. Not just as a classmate. I really like you. Melissa felt her face get warm. She didn't expect him to be so direct. But instead of hiding, she smiled and replied, I like you too, Pedro. For a while now, actually. Pedro smiled back, relieved. Then, I guess we can get to know each other even better, right? Melissa laughed. Yes, I'd love that. And so, that afternoon, with ice cream and smiles, something new began to bloom between them. After that day at the ice cream shop, the relationship between Melissa and Pedro changed. They started meeting more often, not just to study, but also to spend time together. They went to the park, to the movies, and strolled around the city, talking about everything and nothing at the same time. Melissa felt she could be herself with Pedro, and that made her very happy. At school, their classmates began to notice that the two were always together. Some friends joked and asked if they were dating. Pedro and Melissa exchanged glances and shy smiles, but they didn't deny it. The truth was, they were still figuring out what they felt and where it would lead them. One day, while walking in the park, Pedro took Melissa's hand. She looked at him, surprised, but smiled. "I like being with you," he said. "It makes my day better." Melissa felt her heart warm with those words. "I feel the same way," she replied. From that moment on, it was clear that something special was happening. They knew that what they had was precious and that they wanted to keep building it together, without rushing, enjoying every moment. Pedro and Melissa were at the beginning of a new journey, full of discoveries, laughter, and maybe some challenges. But they were willing to face it all together, hand in hand, learning about love and what it really means to be with someone special. And so, what started as a simple school project turned into something much more meaningful, beginning a new chapter in Melissa and Pedro's lives. I hope you enjoyed the story of Melissa and Pedro. Sometimes, the deepest feelings arise unexpectedly and show us the value of the little things. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories. And tell us in the comments what you thought of this story. See you next time.